Back to the affirmation. As I intentionally release resentment, anger, and revenge about the past, I more consciously embody the certainty that love is my true nature. And so what I want to offer you is that the last portion, the last phrase, the certainty that love is my true nature, that is a phrase that is on our new VTC value compass that is going to be unveiled by Sherry at the AGM. Another reason to come to the AGM, which is one of our outward-facing statements on this incredible, amazing value compass. So this value compass is going to be a thing that we're going to be able to use as sort of, the anchor and reminder of who and what VTC is right here, right now, and what it is that is important to us, what it is that we value, what it is that we're grounded and founded in. And one of the things is that we live with the certainty that love is our true nature. So I wanted to put that in there because for the last several weeks, as I knew that I was going to be teaching this class on forgiveness, I've been working through what am I going to work through in this class. And there isn't a lot for me that I'm aware of anyway right now. We actually had someone on Sunday get up during the share and offer that her ex-husband died suddenly a few days ago, and she was surprised how she responded when he died, because she figured that, everything's been sort of like sorted and taken care of, and there was a bunch of stuff that came up, and she was like, wow, there's still stuff there that I need to address. And so she's like looking forward to the forgiveness class. But for me, there's one person in my family who is someone that I love so much and think is the bee's knees, and for most of our relationship, there's like, it's been in and out like this, but sort of like this, and I don't want to live with that anymore. And whether it means that somehow we can come together and have an authentic, good feeling relationship for both of us, or whether it in the end is a relationship that ends up being released, I don't know at this stage. But I know that this is an important relationship to me and something that I really want to work through. And part of it for me is that there's something that this individual says that I did that I don't even remember that this person has been carrying for 15 years and finally told me about it a few months ago. And my first thing was like, wow, it took 15 years to be able to finally voice that. But then there's a lot of anger in me and a lot of resentment and a lot of like how much time has been wasted, and there were so many different ways that you could have said something and maybe we could have done something and whatever. So this idea of revenge, like that's in there for me, and it doesn't feel really good, but like it's in there. And so I'm working through what it is that, I'm going to work through with this particular individual. And then there's also stuff that has happened in this community in the last 18 months since I came on, which has been extremely challenging. And so wanting to work through that, to just move forward in love and light, knowing that that's who and what everyone is, knowing that that's what this community is, and just wanting to move past, the stuff kind of thing. So all of this, thinking about how this forgiveness class that I'm going to teach and the work that I'm doing that I want to do together with the people who are going to be participating in this class, brought me back to the Ikea bag. And I can't remember if I've talked about this here or not. I did a search in my files and there wasn't anything that came up. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself at only a year and a half in. But I thought this is a really, really good illustration. So many years ago, when Glenn and I were still doing our podcast every other week, we had our friend, now he's like double Reverend, double Doctor R2D2, he's affectionately called, Jonathan Zenz. And it's still one of my favorite conversations. It went on for like 2.5, maybe 3 hours or something. And at one point, he was telling us about a Sunday talk that he did where he used the Ikea bag as an illustration. And so who here is familiar to use those wackadoodle bags? I don't know who designed them, but they're these big, I don't even know what that material is, with these thin little ropey handles, right? And they're like, how are you supposed to carry them? So like you're putting things in as you're walking through. It's like, oh, this, that, whatever. They're weird shapes. Nothing is designed to actually fit in that bag. How do you sling it, over one shoulder, right? And the more you're putting in there, the more you're walking around and it's digging in and whatever, right? This is life, right? Like we have an Ikea bag that we put things into a lot of times unconsciously, and we're dragging this bag around with us as it starts to drag us, along with it, literally pulling us out of alignment. Not just mental, not just spiritual, not just emotional, but physical alignment, because there's all of this stuff that is weighing us down in this weirdo, flimsy bag with the handles that are cutting into our shoulders, right? And so my talk title today is, what's in your Ikea bag? Okay? And I really want you to consider, like, what is it that is in this bag that you're dragging around with you? Are you even aware that you have a bag that you're dragging around with you? Because a lot of times we're going through life and we're not aware, right? Like research shows that 95% of the time we are doing things by rote. We are doing things based on memory. We are doing things based on whatever we did the day before, the day before, the day before, without consciously thinking about it, without consciously trying to do something different. And then there's that other 5% of the time, 5-ish, where we are consciously thinking, where we are trying to do something different. And then we start to wonder, why, if I'm working so hard this 5% of the time using my conscious mind, am I not experiencing something different? Well, guess what? There's all of this stuff that has been amassed, that is present in your subconscious mind. Let's call it the Ikea bag, which is just there. Right? And if it's something that you have been dragging along your entire life without even being aware of it, without even really knowing what's in there, what has to happen? We have to pull that bag out into the open. We have to open it up, and we have to start doing some inventory and figuring out, do I want to keep this or do I want to get rid of it? Is this something that is life-affirming, or is it time to let it go? And so that's what this Ikea bag question is all about. And so in the Book of Forgiving, for those who aren't familiar, this one here that we're using for the class, Bishop Desmond Tutu and his daughter Reverend Mpho Tutu write, "People are not born hating each other and wishing to cause harm. It is a learned condition. Children do not dream of growing up to be rapists or murderers, and yet every rapist and every murderer was once a child." Kind of a heavy-duty statement, right? But so true, and really, really illustrates how important it is for us to be aware of how we are living our life, what it is that we have in this Ikea bag that maybe we didn't even put things into, but like our parents did, our society, our teachers, the people around us, the generations before us, and how all of that can impact our life experience. And what it is that we sort of take in and just sort of accept and don't even think about it. But every single moment we can, right? And one of the biggest things that we teach in New Thought is personal responsibility. That every single moment we are creating our life experience based on how we use our mind, and I like to say how we open up our heart. Hurt, insult, harm, and loss are inevitable aspects of our lives. Psychology calls it trauma. And it often leaves deep scars on our souls. However, it is not the trauma itself that defines us. It is the meaning we make of our experience that defines both who we are and who we ultimately become. So we can have this bag with all of this stuff in here. Is it the stuff that is informing our experience? Well, yeah, it kind of is, but it's more the meaning that we give the stuff. And if we're not even aware of what it is that is in the bag, what is the meaning being attached to? Like, we got to get clear, right? Because all of that stuff, it's making a difference in how we experience our lives. But the reason it's making a difference is because we give it some kind of meaning. We give it some kind of value, whether we are aware of it or not. And if we're wearing that Ikea bag and we're hunched over or it's digging into our shoulders, it's no wonder that we're going to see a chiropractor, that we're going, to ballet class, or that we're going for massages or something like that, so that we can come back into alignment, because all of these thoughts and beliefs and stories and narratives that are in this Ikea bag of life are literally weighing us down and pulling us out of alignment. So what are we putting in our bag? And are we doing so consciously or unconsciously? And are we knocking ourselves out of alignment, or are we coming back into alignment as we put things in the bag? Hanging on to anger and resentment, living in a constant state of stress, can damage the heart as well as the soul. And so this kind of goes back to, the affirmation that we have about resentment, anger, and revenge, and about being able to release it. Because what happens when you hold on to resentment, anger, and revenge, it's not doing anything to the other person. It is weighing you down. It is cutting into your shoulder. It is knocking out alignment of your being, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Each of us will experience sadness, pain, anger, or shame, or a combination of any of these. Now comes the moment of choice. Personal responsibility, right? Although for most of us, our reactions are so habitual, 95% of the time, not thinking consciously about what we're choosing, we don't even realize we have a choice. And so it is so, so, so important to remember that no one is living our life for us. No one can walk the forgiveness path for us. No one can do anything for us, because even if we're not aware of it, we are choosing every single moment of every single day. And so our job is to become more aware, to know consciously what it is that we are choosing, and to keep choosing consciously and working at it, so that ultimately that 95% of the time where we're just kind of doing things by rote, it's because that bag is so filled with life-affirming, positive ideas and stories and narratives that they are going to carry us in full alignment into the most amazing, fulfilling, engaging, vibrant, and dynamic life that we could possibly live. That's what we want to be putting in our Ikea bag. But most of the time, we got to choose to do so consciously, because all the stuff that's in there, a lot of it was put in unconsciously and not even by us. So forgiveness is a choice. Now, here's the other thing to remember about forgiveness being a choice and the resentment and anger and revenge part. There is no amount of resentment or anger or revenge that you could entertain that will ever undo whatever it is that caused that anger and revenge and resentment to bubble up in the first place. Never. No matter how much you hate someone, no matter how much you want them to suffer the way that they've made you suffer, no matter how much you want to show them, it's never, ever going to give you the peace and the calm and the spaciousness that you ultimately desire. And here's the super cool thing. They don't have to do anything. They don't even need to apologize, although sometimes an apology would be nice. But they don't have to do any of that, because your life experience is entirely up to you. It's not about what someone else says or does. It is your choice. What are you going to place in this bag, and then what are you going to carry along with you? Because as we know, what we focus on expands. And so do we want to continue focusing on the anger, the resentment, and the revenge? Well, maybe if it's the Count of Monte Cristo, which is an amazing story. But no, we don't. We want to focus on peace and love and understanding. Our values: openness, commitment, authenticity, and love. The 4 main VTC values, right? To forgive is also to release yourself from whatever trauma and hardship you have experienced and reclaim your life as your own. The invitation to forgive is an invitation to find healing and peace. Forgiveness feels as if a weight has been lifted off you and you are free to let go of the past and move forward in your life. chances are we're going to get hurt. Chances are we're going to hurt someone along the way. And it is up to us how we navigate that hurt, whether we're on the receiving end or we're on the giving end. Because none of us were born thinking, man, I'm going to stick it to some people, in this lifetime. It's learned behavior, it's conditioning, and we get to uncondition that through the forgiveness process. So my questions to you are, what's in your Ikea bag? And are you ready to start unloading it so that you can let go of the past and move forward in life more freely, peacefully, and lovingly for yourself, for others, and our world? Thank you, and so it is.